So God has always been such an important part of my life. I grew up in a family that was very involved in the church, and when I was about 9, I started to really take my faith seriously and make it personal. I was kind of an introspective kid. When I became a teenager, I got kind of self-righteous and would wait for my family after church, wait in the car because there was always something they needed to be doing, and sometimes would read my Bible and think, well, that's not what my parents do. They're hypocrites. And really, the truth was, I was just a self-righteous teenager. I look back on that and I think about how it just demonstrates how much our faith is a journey. When you're young or when you're new to your faith, you can see things in a very black and white way. God has been so present in my life during some really difficult times, relationship challenges, problems in college. I can clearly see, looking back, how God brought my husband and I together through a series of coincidences, you might call it, and how we've grown through that relationship. I think one thing that really was a crucial demonstration of my relationship with God were some health problems that I had and some scares that I had when I was an adult. I had some problems that the doctors had trouble diagnosing, and at one point they thought that perhaps some of the bones in my hip were actually dying from lack of blood, and that was a really scary diagnosis. I had had a severe injury to my leg when I was in college, and I remember a roommate coming back to college on crutches. They put all kinds of hardware in my leg to hold it together while it was healing. And I came back to college and told my roommates and my cast and my crutches, and my roommate said, "Will you ever walk normally again?" And honestly, that thought had never even occurred to me, that things wouldn't be okay. And so years later, when I had this diagnosis kind of put out there as a possibility, it was really scary. I went out, I remember sitting in my car at the doctor's office, and I wasn't able to drive yet, and just tears running down my face, praying. Of course, I called my husband, and thinking about what that would be like. And not long, it didn't take too long before I felt just more of a peace about it and an acceptance, and thought, well, if that's where we're headed, then that's how things will be, and I'll learn to handle life in a wheelchair or whatever the case may be. And I clearly feel that was God's presence in my life, providing that peace and that comfort that I didn't need to worry or be anxious. Thankfully, that turned out to not be the problem. I had a stress fracture. It healed over time. But through so many of those challenges in my life, I've felt God's presence. I've been able to turn to prayer, turn to the church community for support, to see others who live out a life of faith and live in relationship to God has been such a gift to me over the years when I have times of doubt or uncertainty, or just, sometimes you just have times where you're more apathetic about your faith and just spending less time and energy on your relationship with God. And it's always such a support to see and live in community with others who are living out their faith. Thinking back to my teen years and my self-righteous phase, I've come to appreciate that none of us do that perfectly, and we need to have patience and forgiveness and grace with each other. And that's a gift too, that we're all learning together that we can all explore together, and it's okay to question, and it's okay. There's so many passages in the Bible, in the Psalms or in Job, where people turn to God with their anger or with their doubt or with their blame, and I think that's a great message to us as disciples, that we don't need to turn away from God in those times of fear and doubt and rage and all those angry emotions that life comes with. But we can turn to God with those things, and He wants us to. Like a parent, He wants us to bring those things to Him, to touch base with Him in those difficult times and in those happy times. So, this is all a journey. It's a relationship, and it's been a real gift and a blessing to me.